This video is focused on HTML attributes. Attributes are a way that we add additional information to our HTML elements. So they take the form of a key value pair. You're going to hear that phrase a lot. It basically means a property and then a corresponding value. So that might be something like source equals corgi.png, class equals selected, type equals text/CSS. So don't worry what those do. We're going to see them all in time, but it's this format of some word equals something in text. Mozilla Developer Network has a comprehensive attribute reference, just like it did for elements, but for all of the attributes in HTML. So the first thing you'll notice as I scroll through is that there are a lot of different attributes. And just like with the elements, you do not have to know all of these. In fact, most developers won't use 80% of these. So there's really a subset of 5, 10, maybe 15 attributes that developers use pretty often. It's also important to note that not every attribute works on every single element. In fact, most attributes only work on 2 to 5 different elements. Some of them only work on 1. So this second column here denotes the elements that a given attribute works for. So something like code, which is an attribute I've never had to use ever, but we can tell from here, it specifies the URL of an applets class file to be loaded and executed. Great, whatever that means. And it only works on an applet element, which I've also never had to use before. But if we take something more common, like source, which I'll just search for, you can see that the src attribute works on quite a few different elements: audio, embed, iframe, image, input, script, source, track, video. And we'll actually be using the source attribute later in this video. So the key takeaway, there's a lot of attributes, just like there's a lot of elements, but there's really just a few important ones. And I'm going to start by highlighting 2 of those, which are source and href. And those 2 attributes are really important to images and anchor tags or links, respectively. So let's go back to the slides. So images, really fun and important part of making a website. They're actually very short tags to write, and you'll notice they look slightly different than what you've seen before, where there is no opening and closing tag. There's no inside content. There's no inner HTML or inner text. Rather, we just have this image tag that opens and closes, and then a single attribute. So I'll show you how to do this. Let's start, of course, by finding an image. I love corgi mixes. In particular, I love corgi husky mixes. There we go. Let's just take this image, adorable dog, and let's go to some HTML document. Again, I'm just going to go back to what we've been working on, but this is clearly not some long-lasting site that we're going to really build up. This is just like a scratch pad for HTML. So let's go anywhere on the page, and we type the word img. We do not need a closing tag, so we don't do this. This is a self-closing tag. And then there's a single attribute that we must have, which is src, stands for source, and it's the URL of the image that we're trying to make this tag use. So that URL can be something that is hosted. So this image here, but it could also be an image that I have saved on my machine. It could be in the same directory that I am or the same folder, in which case I would just reference it like dog.jpg. For now, we're going to deal with these online images. We will spend some more time talking about where we structure things, where we put our images and all of that later on. Save this. Let's open up this file. And there we go. We've got an image tag. So another type of tag that uses an attribute is the A tag, which is how we make links. So the A tag, it stands for anchor tag, is really important. It's how we create links to other web pages. It's how on Google, when you search for something, every single result, you click on it, that's an anchor tag, every single one of those links. Or on some website, when there's all the social media buttons, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all those buttons are actually links. You click on them and they take you to another page. So the format is as follows: A tag, opening and closing, some text inside, and then href attribute equals some URL. So I'll show you an example here. We're going to make an A tag, and this is just going to be a link to Google. So we're going to provide that href attribute. Href equals www.google.com. So that's where the link goes when I click it. Of course, if I refresh the page right now, I would actually not see anything because this link is invisible. There's no text. There's nothing to click on. So inside the tags, in the inner content, I'm going to say, click me to go to Google. Okay, so as you can see, it makes me a nice link that I can click on. Also, you'll notice that it's an inline element. It doesn't take up its own block. It doesn't take up its own line and force content onto a new line below it. So it's inline, and this should take us to Google when I click on it. However, it doesn't quite work. Take a look at the URL that it takes me to. File : / this is just the file itself, and then www.google.com. So without going into too much detail, because we cover this a lot when we get to the backend section, what's happening is that I'm on the file protocol, which is what happens when you just open a file. And when I click this link, it just thinks I want to use the file protocol again and just go to www.google.com. However, what I actually want to do is go to www.google.com on the HTTP protocol. So I need to make sure my link is explicit. So when I refresh and I click me to go to Google, it actually takes me to Google because I specified this should be http : / www.google.com. With that said, I sometimes do want to link to another page that is not on HTTP. So I'll give you an example. Let's make an A tag, and I'm just going to call this go to page2.html, which doesn't exist. Go to page 2. And now what I'm going to need to do is make a page 2. And this page 2 is going to be really, really simple. Just a single paragraph. This is page 2. And I save it. They're in the same directory together. On my desktop, you can see I have first page and page 2. And this link just goes to page2.html. So refresh the page. I see go to page 2. I click on it, and you can see my URL has changed. So this now takes me to the exact same place, except it's now page2.html rather than firstpage.html. So we're seeing two types of URLs here. One is called a relative path, which means relative to where I am, keep everything the same and add on /page2.html. Or doesn't matter where I am because I want to go to Google, completely different place. Both of them are A tags. So this type of usage is actually really common. When you have a portfolio site and you have an About Me page and you have a page for projects and your resume and your contact information, those could be all different HTML files that you create, and then you just link them together with A tags. And this use case is also really common if you want to link to your Facebook links and your Google Plus, I guess, if anyone uses that, or your Instagram and so on. So to sum this up, we've got A tags, we've got image tags. Both of them use attributes, and attributes are just ways where we pass information in. They follow this format: key value pair, something equals something in quotes.